Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Marquerel-Fortin.
Bon, cela fait presque 15 ans que nous avons ce système. Par le nombre de sentences à domicile qui ont été données et qui seraient remplacées par des sentences de prison, nous avons certainement les moyens de faire une évaluation assez juste du nombre de prisonniers supplémentaires que devraient absorber les prisons provinciales. Est-ce que le député, est-ce que le ministère est en mesure de nous donner cette mesure, de combien ça représente de prisonniers et combien ça va représenter de dépenses supplémentaires pour les provinces qui, comme vous le savez, reçoivent les prisonniers qui sont condamnés à moins de 2 ans?
L'honorable député de Edmonton, St. Albert.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I certainly also would like to thank my friend, former Attorney General from the province of Quebec, for all of the good work that he does on the Justice Committee and formerly on the Public Safety Committee and currently on the Justice Committee. I don't have those numbers at the top of my tongue, Mr. Speaker. Certainly, if conditional sentences and house arrests become unavailable for a list of offences, and I listed a number of offences to which that would apply, then more individuals will end up in custody. The Minister of Public Safety has been asked about this very recently, and he has indicated that there will be more use of such techniques such as double bunking to make the most appropriate and most efficient use of the current correctional facilities. I don't know. I don't know if that'll be sufficient, or if other expansion or other techniques will have to be employed. But I think that misses the crucial element of this debate. The debate is a conditional sentence an appropriate disposition for an individual who commits a serious property offense or an offense of violence? And certainly I believe all members on this side of the House would say that it's not. A very good example is the example of arson. If a person burns down my house, ought they be able to serve their sentence in their own house? I think most Canadians would answer that question in the negative, and therefore confidence in the administration of justice requires that for that type of serious offence that a conditional sentence not be available.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Yukon.
I have two questions. First of all, as the previous member mentioned, there's thousands of cases of successful sentences like this. I wonder if the member could give us some examples. I mean specific examples, not list of conditions, but specific examples of cases where this did not work. And my second question is, if the conditional sentences are not effective from, of course, a judge who knows all the conditions and situations of a situation and what would be most effective to make a safe society, why are the results of conditional sentences, why do they have less repeat offenders from people who are sentenced through conditional sentences than those who are sentenced to jail terms?
The honourable member for Edmonton, St. Albert.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I certainly thank the member from the Yukon for his good question. It's not my practice to talk about specific cases or specific offences. I will advise this honourable member in the House, however, that certainly chiefs of police tell us with alarming frequency of individuals who are serving conditional sentences in the community. Not only are they in breach of the conditions of those sentences, that they keep the peace and be of good behaviour, that they refrain from alcohol and non-prescription drugs, but they're also involved in criminal code activities, specifically property offences to make currency to further whatever addiction they suffer from. So there are many, many examples of individuals who have breached their terms of their condition, not only to keep the peace and to abstain from substances, but they're also involved in criminal code activity, and I think society needs to be protected from those individuals.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Abbotsford.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to commend my colleague from Edmonton, St. Albert, for the good work that he does at the Justice Committee. He's one of our very valued participants. He probes when he asks questions, and he's been very helpful bringing forward some of these justice issues to the table. And I want to also thank him for his focus on victims and on his focus on protecting society. And he also referred to the whole issue of confidence in the justice system. Now, I would invite him to comment a little bit further on how confidence in the justice system erodes when serious criminals get to serve their time at home in front of their big screen TVs and their computers and all the luxuries they normally would enjoy at home.
The honourable member for Edmonton St. Albert.
Well, that's a very good question, and my friend who very ably chairs the Justice Committee points out a deficiency in our current sentencing regime, where individuals who have been committed of serious, sometimes multiple offences, whether they're property offences or whether they're offences of violence, are able to return to their own homes and serve their sentences in the comfort with all of the amenities of life, be it a big screen TV or their library and CD collection. I think certainly the constituents that I talk to and the public generally does not believe that that's an appropriate disposition, does not believe that an individual who has been convicted of serious offences ought to be serving their sentence in the comfort of their own home. Certainly in this job where we're away from home so much, it's a treat to spend a couple days uninterrupted in the comfort of our own home, and I don't believe that that's an appropriate penalty or punishment or sentence for an individual who's been convicted. And he also, my friend from Abbotsford also talked about victims, and as he knows, this bill and the proposed amendments have got the endorsement of Heidi Illingworth, the Executive Director of the Canadian Resource Centre for Victims of Crime, who said, Mr. Speaker, the current legislation has not sufficiently restricted access to conditional sentences for offenders.
Order. Resuming debate. We please the débat. The honour.